Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And wow, what a beautiful day. We've had 3 days in a row. One day was a little cold. Next day it got a little colder. And then the next day it got a little colder. And today, what a beautiful day. So I'm grateful for the weather. And I really hope that you're getting out in nature like Starlight is. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you could give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 down below here. And also, you could share my videos with your family, your friends. A laughing hyena and an elephant. Not only you could share my videos with them, is also you could check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, anyone who would love to send Starlight some love, Starlight would love to receive some love. And you can do that, some extra love, on my Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ping! There it is. And also, all you got to do there is to download the Cash App and Cash App. Download that, and that is how you would send Starlight some extra love on my Cash App. Plus, a big, huge thank you to all of you who have been here, loving and supporting Starlight. And okay, so today is are you ready? You push the button, right? You push the button. So today's video, I've been wanting to do this for a while now, is what's your superpower? What's your superpower? Now, there's people that will get this, and then there's going to be people that don't get this. Is that if you've gone through like in a spiritual awakening, you know, and sometimes this is, you know, you could have gone through something in your life and like, wow, what the heck happened, you know? And so what is your superpower? You know, what superpowers do you have? You know, just like all the superheroes out there, you got Superman, Spider-Man, and, you know, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, and then you got X-Men. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of superheroes out there. Incredible Hulk. I grew up with Incredible Hulk. I grew up with Wonder Woman. I always, you know, kind of copied her because she had the red, white, and blue. And but I'm my own superhero now because I'm Starlight. That's my superhero name is Starlight. So watch out for Starlight. So, just like humans, you know, people that realize that you are more than what you were told, you know, throughout your life, you know, they've done this before you were even, you know, conceived, you know, is that they've been really deceiving a lot of people and putting negative energy out there, you know, in the movies, on the news, you know, and you know, even the stuff that they put on the news is low vibrational stuff to keep you down. You know, the doctors that are out there, a good percentage of them in the hospitals are not out there really for your greatest good. They're not out here to really help you out. You know, there's a guy that's on YouTube, and you might have seen him on your YouTube channel, is that he pops up on ads, and he might already was a doctor out there, you know, like a new doctor going out in the field, you know, hoping to really, you know, keeping his heart right. And, you know, a man like this would have to, you know, I can't say have to, but have a fear of God, you know, and to go out and get a job and then find out when, you know, he starts learning everything and how to be a doctor, then finding how corrupt the system is, where this man left. You know, he might have left out, you know, on his own, and now he's making, you know, helping people online that, you know, saying that, you know, doctors are not helping people, but they're really killing people. And I give that guy a lot of credit for having the balls to do that, and that takes a real man to do that. And we've been lied to. We've been deceived. They've been trying to separate us, divide us, keep us separated, getting us to fight against each other, causing problems with relationships, trying to get men to go with men and women to go with women. Even in the public school, that they're trying to get kids to say, hey, if you don't want to be a boy, you can be a girl. And girls, you don't have to be a girl, you can be a boy. So, all the lies that we've been told through the public school, through the government, through the news, and even on social media and different social medias, is that all this is all set up purposely to, and to keep you low, keep you at a low vibration, so you never find out who you really are. Right now, how many of you are distracted with football? I was just invited to go spend, I would say hang out with a guy yesterday, and I'm like, see ya, we ain't got time, really, you think I got time to, I was in one relationship. I spent the whole time, the first year, watching football every single time that football game was on, going out to sports bars and watching, and these people were gambling, not only gambling, on football, but on horses and dog, races and all this stuff. What a waste of my time and my energy, really, all the things that I could have been doing in that time, and that's what they've done out here in this stimulation, in this matrix, whether you believe it or not. You have a choice to believe whatever you want to believe, and that is what we've been lied to, and we've been told a bunch of shit, really, being a mushroom, being fed a whole bunch of, in the dark, being fed a whole bunch of bullshit. And we need to wake up, and they want us to get distracted. They want us to watch football right now. So there's a lot of not just men out there getting distracted on football. Some of you say you quit, you don't do that anymore, but do you check out, see who's winning still? So it does take time to actually let that stuff go. You could have been somebody that was always there, keeping, track of the scores. That way, when somebody that watches football, you can act like you know what's going on, just to go along, And in that, I've witnessed that so much when, long time ago, I was like, I knew people, they didn't watch football, but they wanted to keep up with everybody that was watching football. And that, to me, is fake, You got to be real. You got to really snap out of those things. If you don't like football, you don't have to go and check out what the score was still. Even though you might have gave up on watching football years ago, it does have a way of lingering around, and it takes time to let go of those old habits and old programs, of being addicted to watching such a thing. And so right now, when you go out in public, because there was a football game that it was yesterday that, this person invited me to go, and I already told the guy, no, I'm not going. Today is like, hey, I was there, you weren't there. I told you I'm not going. I ain't got time for that. I'm working on my future, and the reason I mention all these things is because when you're so distracted, how are you going to ever find out who you truly are? And when do you even care what is going on in the world? Do you even care what the truth really is? There's people, what? They're laughing right now. Keep on laughing. Keep on laughing. I can hear you laughing. They think, things that I bring up on my videos, things that I tell people to be prepared for, they think it's a joke. Oh, Sterling, I'm not going to worry about that until it comes. Fine. I will never mention it again. Don't come calling me up on my phone and telling me, oh my, look at what they're, get me to, no, we're done. I warned you. I told you the things that definitely I believe it's going to be coming, because it's already going in other states, other countries, so, and this is the thing, is that you got to be careful. There's these people have been programmed, they've been lied to, and you got to be careful the kind of people that you spend time with. Do you believe, do you believe what you hear people say all the time? It could be your family or friends, and if they're not awake yet, and you believe, it's like the blind leading the blind, be careful of that. Just because your friend said something and that person said something, just because they say they watch the news, It doesn't mean the person that's telling, you know, like if they're in the third dimension, they're in the fear frequency, and you're listening to all that stuff that they're telling you, and you're like, well, that's my friend. I believe I trust everything that my friend is telling me. And then when, you know, like COVID comes, they're the one that is telling you to go get the injection. Watch out for that stuff. So we've been lied to, deceived. You know, a lot of the truth is in the movies. And I did go through some stuff in the past. And that's why I was mentioning about corrupt doctors out there, is because they know what we're made out of. How do you think they came up with Superman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Incredible Hulk, all these superhero names? Even the X-Men, I loved watching X-Men. Man, I was like addicted to watching that. I found myself, you know, being a character, you know. Of course, they all had their own superpower. Even in the Bible, there was people that, you know, were very mighty, you know. Jesus wasn't a wimp. And that's why Jesus was brought here, so we can understand. Jesus came here to shake some shit up, and he did. So there was no, you know, all the things that Jesus could do. Then there's churches out there, they're like, I just met some people not too long ago out here. Ooh, don't do that. Well, what was Jesus doing? You know, Jesus was doing a lot of stuff, healing people, doing all kinds of beautiful, awesome things, miracles and all this stuff. But then if you practice doing this, and if you do this stuff, ooh, they're getting the, you know, the garlic out, and they're putting the cross out at you. Really? We are very powerful. And you got to understand that we are kings and queens. We all have something in us that God gave us. It's that God particle that God put in us, that we are multi-dimensional spirit beings having a human experience. So God put that spirit that we have in this body, this shell. This is just a shell. This is only temporal, but that spirit that's in us is for eternity. And we are powerful. Some of you get this. You've already had your time. Didn't you have your time where you were like, holy shit, what the heck happened? I have. Wow. I felt like I've gone through an experience before, and my daughter has. Chosen ones will go through this stuff. The chosen ones. You know, and it makes me wonder in the Bible how God went back for left the 99 and went back for the 1. Is that, maybe that could be the 1%? You know, I was just thinking of that when I've been reading my Bible every day. Maybe that's the 1%, the chosen ones. Because they're chosen. God chose them, you know, light workers, star seeds, you know. So you could be a chosen one and a light worker, and that's where I believe these are the ones that are going to find their power. They're going to find out. God is going to, blink, there you go. God's a very powerful God. You know, the things that were going on, you know, there's a lot of churches out there. They're like, ooh, you know, I met a group of people that had a Thanksgiving dinner, you know, and I met a lady, and she was inviting me to go back to the church because they had a free Thanksgiving dinner. Starlight didn't want to be by herself that day. I really wanted to kind of be around people on that holiday. And because, you know, being around people like Thanksgiving, you know, being grateful and thankful. And, you know, I met a lady, and she says, oh, the Spirit of God is in here with this church. And the more she was talking, she's like, I've been here for 5 months. Really? You're telling me that, you know, you've been only here for 5 months, and you're going to tell me that the Spirit of God is in this body here of these people? I'm not going to listen to anything you got to say. Many people are deceived. You know, the energy could be fake. The energy cannot, you know, the energy, the people could be fake, you know, and just putting a good act, having a mask on. So watch out when you know, there's people in churches out there saying the Spirit of God is in here. There's a lot of spirits out there. So if somebody says that they only been going to church for 5 months, believe me, you don't want to go by their advice on what they think about the church. They haven't been there long enough. So be careful of that. Just because somebody's going there, if they said they've been going there for 10 years and they love the church still, that could be a person right there that, hey, they've been going there for 10 years. But you want to ask questions, you don't want to just, oh, okay. So be careful, because people are marked out here. We all, the doctors know who you are, the government knows who you are by your date of birth, like just with Jesus, they knew. They were waiting, they wanted to destroy Jesus before he came out. They were hunting his ass down as a baby, trying to find him, but God protected Jesus. They didn't want Jesus to be born because they knew what Jesus was come here to do. So we are all powerful. And some of you might have been, you could be watching my videos for years, and you hear my video and you might think, what is she talking about now? Because you haven't woken up yet. Just because, somebody says something and you don't understand it, or, it doesn't mean that person's talking out of their ass, because I'm not. This is my experience. I've gone through a time, and my daughter has too, because she's a chosen one. Black sheeps of the families are chosen ones, more than likely. And if you are a black sheep, if you're not a black sheep, then that's why you're not going to understand this. This is why it's not going to make any sense, unless you really know your Bible. You really know your Bible, and you've studied your Bible, and you understand it. So just because somebody speaks something doesn't mean that they're not talking the truth and saying the truth. That's why God has chosen me to be where I am right now, because God woke me up, and that was even before COVID. This was in 2016. Starlight woke up. Bam! And it just, I'll tell you what, like a week ago, I woke up, I got an upgrade or download in the middle of the night, and I woke up in the next morning and a light bulb moment came on, and I'm like, oh, now I get it. Whew, because there's layers to this. The more you work on yourself and find out who you are and not get distracted by football. How many of you are watching football right now? Well, you know what? They get that. They do these things to distract you. So now you don't have time to work on yourself because you're too busy, keeping scores with everybody else and seeing who won. Some of you might still be keeping scores, checking out your favorite teams, So, is that we are all powerful. And if you woke up and you know that, yes, I've had experience, and what did your doctor say? See, the doctors know about this stuff. They could tell by your blood type, the date of your birth, your name. It's all, there's no accidents or coincidence here on this, with God. Your name, your date of birth has everything. Your sign, what sign are you? So is above, so is below. So what is going up there is going right here, and with you. So that's why full moons, eclipses, new moons, solar eclipse, portals, these are very powerful. And that's when I was actually wakening up, is through full moons. Bam! That's when they say the lunatics come out. The police department, they witness this shit. They go through shit. They know there's stuff going on. The power that people have in them, and they don't I don't know if they fully understand what's going on with the people when they get a phone call. Somebody had to, just like my daughter had to call 911 on me. They get these phone calls. Hello? Yeah, I got emergency. Ooh, yeah, somebody's doing what? They got stories of people walking around and doing crazy stuff out in the world and saying that they're Jesus. And then they're doing all this funky stuff out in public because they're waking up. Those people are not crazy. You might think, oh, they're just crazy. Don't believe everything the doctors say out there. Oh, they got bipolar. Oh, they're schizophrenia. What else is the other ones? Schizophrenia. They got all these labels. There's another one out there. There's other names out there. Oh, you got bipolar. That's why. This is why this all happened. Bullshit. Don't believe all that stuff. They want you to think that way, thinking that there's something wrong with you, and making you feel like you're, putting you down in a low. It lowers your energy. It makes you feel bad, thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me. And that's why the Hollywood stars, the people that run all that stuff, the people that are running the world, that's why these people, a lot of not all the Hollywood stars have done this, but a lot of them have, when they sold their soul to be the stars who they are today, is that those people get fucked with. Those people go through some hell. And they know that these are certain people out there, when they go through abuse, yes, it brings out something out of them. And that's where they see the power. They see the power in these people, because it does. Jim Carrey, I know he's gone through stuff. That's why he's out there. Check out some things that Jim Carrey's going through, because he's going through this stuff. He understands what's going on, because God woke his ass up as a Hollywood star, and now he's putting videos out there to wake people up that we are more than what we think we have been told. You've been told a lie. They've been trying to kill us. The doctor's been trying to kill people that have, these abilities to do stuff. I have felt like, I'm trying to think, her name in the Matrix is Trinity. I have felt like Trinity. It's kind of funny. I used to have a coat similar to Trinity's coat. And holy shit. So, I know I got power. I have changed. And there's people out here, you've gone through stuff, but you're afraid to tell anybody, because you know why? You're afraid people are going to think you're freaking nuts. You don't want to tell anybody because you're afraid of being judged. Thinking, nobody wants to, get a, because the way the doctors label people when they go through stuff. There's been men and women, and I'll tell you what, yeah, there's some crazy stuff that goes on. There's a lot of crazy stuff in the world of what people can do with their bodies, what they can do with their minds. Got to wake up and realize you're more than what you think you are. And a lot of churches, they're like, shh. No, they know. There's churches out there, they know. People see it in me. They see the light. Just like what they were doing with Jesus, they wanted to touch the hem of his garment because they knew what would happen if they did. And so you got to protect your energy. So what superpowers do you have? How many of you could be really brave and say, I did have some kind of crazy, my doctor did label me and give me a schizophrenia or bipolar name. That's just to keep you down. Make you think there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just waking up. I love you so much. This is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family or friends. A tiger and a lion. And you can check out my playlist. Plus, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. You are more powerful than you think. We are kings and queens. It's time to take your power back. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.